final game we're going to preview for the round of 32 is Oregon, Arizona. This game in the East region, 4-5 game. Two former rivals, right? I mean, or just team. They both were in the Pac-12 for a long time, and very familiar with each other, especially the coaches. This game I think is going to be played with a lot of pace, right? Both teams like to play a pretty up tempo style. I think the one thing I look at for this game would be Arizona's presence on the glass. To go back to I guess their first round game, right? Like both teams really like comfortably won their game here. Neither team really ever struggled. I guess like Akron made a little bit of a surge at the beginning of the first half, but that was about it. Oregon never was really in doubt. I think then looking ahead to this game, I think Arizona really that is the area that they can really exploit Oregon. I think they can get on them on the glass and control that part of the game without a doubt. With Vasar, Awaka, Carter Bryant, I think those guys can really control that.
Yeah, I would agree. Oregon can hold their own to an extent. I think. I mean, they have their own size up front with Biddle and Kwame Evans and Cook off the bench, but I think foul trouble would become a bit of a concern there just because there's not a ton of depth. It's really just those two guys, and Cook's the third guy in the mix, and Angel doesn't really rebound all that well. So yeah, I would consider that an advantage for Arizona. And these teams, I mean, they know each other really well. So I would use the angle of it's hard to prep for Dana Altman with one day, but Tommy Lloyd's seen him 7 or 8 times now. I think he knows a lot of the things that Altman's going to throw at him. So there's not really a major edge for Oregon on this short turnaround because I love backing Oregon off of in these tournament settings, either in a conference tournament setting or in the NCAA tournament. But I think Arizona's seen everything that Oregon can throw at them. When they matched up last, it was a 67-59 win in I believe that was the Pac-12 championship, and that sent Oregon to the NCAA tournament. And they tried to slow them down in that game, and maybe that's what Altman's going to look to do here again. But that would kind of take them out of their comfort zone on the offensive end, because I think this Oregon team wants to get up and down the floor with Shellstad playing the point. He's really a blur in transition, and I think when you put this guard group in a half court setting, I do think Arizona can have success on the defensive end. They can force Oregon to shoot over the top. That's not really Oregon's strength. And like you said, they're not really going to have an avenue on the glass. So I think Arizona squeaks this game out. It feels kind of coin flippy with how well Oregon's playing lately, but I do think the fact that Lloyd's going to be completely prepared for this matchup makes me lean towards Arizona.
Yeah, I mean, I think with these teams knowing each other so well, I expect kind of a tight game regardless. Obviously they haven't played each other this year, but they've played so much in years past that they're just so familiar. I think another area for Arizona is their guards getting downhill, and like I said on the offensive glass, they're very efficient from 2-point field goal range. They're not necessarily a great 3-point shooting team. Those guards, the 3-guard lineup, they really like to get into the lane, hit a bunch of those floater type shots. KJ Lewis, Jaden Bradley especially. Caleb Love loves his floater. So I think that's an area they can have some success too. Oregon, not a great 2-point field goal percentage defense. They're sitting right in the middle, kind of 136 in the country. So I think that's an area where Arizona can have some success. I lean towards Arizona because I just think they're the better team. overall, I just haven't really trusted Oregon all year, and I'm going to continue to not trust them here, despite Dana Altman typically having a lot of success in March. I just think Arizona's three guards plus their size and ability to get on the glass. Um, I think that's going to be the difference. I think Arizona's pace that they're going to play with is just more than what Oregon really wants. Like Oregon wants to get up and down, but I think not as much as what Arizona does. I think Arizona just has too much here, and it ultimately pulls away with a win.
Yeah, I think we're gonna see some zone from Oregon in this game, like that zone pressure that they like to play. They like to pick it up like three-quarter court. In Arizona, like they don't really grade out that well against zone or really against press. Like it's not fantastic. They're in the 55th percentile in points per possession against zone, and they see it quite a bit. I think teams like to zone them with their lack of shooting. I would say it's not a really a good shooting group at all. They would have to throw in guys like Del Orso and Martinez, and those guys aren't. They you don't really want to throw them in the mix all that much. So, but the fact that Arizona's seen this zone multiple times, I think will give them an edge. So, yeah, I think just backing the better team here, and a team that we're not that high on in Oregon. I'm not really that high on Arizona either. So, but I'm certainly lower on Oregon. And I don't really think this run is like necessarily all that real. Like I've said that the last few games, and they proved me wrong a few times. I mean, Michigan State, they kind of got handled in the second half in the conference tournament, and obviously they handled Liberty today, but Liberty couldn't make an open three, and they kind of Oregon overwhelmed them with their size. That I mean, Liberty starts 6'8" and 6'7" in the front court, so Biddle and Kwame Evans were able to have their way, and that's not going to be the case here. So Arizona has the edge in the front court, and they're going to be prepped. So yeah, I like them in this game.
Yeah, definitely. So, uh, our final preview, we're going to side with Arizona to move on to the Sweet 16 and take on Duke next weekend.